Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fall 2015 meeting of the University Council. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to announce a slight change in the order of events. I'm going to speak first. My name is Becky Weaver-Hightower. I'm the University Senate Chair for this year. The Staff Senate President and the Student Body President are not going to speak today. I'm going to speak on all three of our behalves, but we will take questions at the end. After I speak, President Kelley will make a few remarks, and then we will proceed with the rest of the meeting. So I've already introduced myself. I'm Becky Weaver-Hightower, and I'm in the Department of English. The last time I addressed this much of the university, I was giving a commencement address in the summer at the summer graduation of 2011. I used that moment in the spotlight to argue for the value of a liberal arts education by speaking about Harry Potter and how reading literature leads us to live more fulfilling, productive, and valuable lives. As an English professor and writer, I often understand the world through metaphors, and I ask you to indulge me again today as I use another metaphor to express something that I've been thinking quite a lot about lately, and this is the idea of collaboration. I've been thinking about collaborative governance for the past 7 months as a group of 12 colleagues and I, in consultation with stakeholders from around the university, wrestled with creating a revised university constitution and documents for a faculty senate, which we were originally scheduled to have voted on as a body today. You've probably heard that the University Senate, largely because of concerns about collaborative governance, did not pass those documents. But as we were debating, I kept having this reoccurring image. Again, as a writer, I often think in terms of images, of us all on a big ship. Let's call this ship the USS UND. On board this ship are different groups of workers, mariners, each with unique and important work to perform to keep the ship afloat, and in good weather, sailing ahead. Guiding this ship are its officers on the ship's bridge, our administrators, who rely on their instruments and charts to read the stars, but also their years of experience working elsewhere on the ship as they attempt to guide the ship on a certain course. Also on board this ship is a diverse and skilled group of sailors, the faculty, who do much of the work of keeping the ship moving. They raise, lower, and adjust the sails according to their reading of the wind, follow the instructions of the officers, and sometimes assist them with reading the stars and directing the rudder. The sailors collaborate with a skilled crew, the staff, who also do much of the work of keeping the ship running. They repair the sails and equipment, keep the records, make sure everyone is paid, all the activities necessary to keeping the ship smoothly sailing. Now here's where my metaphor breaks down just a bit. On the ship are also a group of apprentices, younger folk learning the skills of the sailors, the crew, and the officers who tutor them in the nautical arts. These apprentices would be our students, but in reality, these apprentices outnumber the sailors and crew 12-1, which would not be the case on a sailing vessel. Now, the USS UND is out in the middle of the North Seas. Miles of empty and unforgiving ocean stretch on every side, including below, since the ship is sitting atop a mile of dangerous water. The survival of everyone on board that ship depends on everyone doing his or her respective job, doing it well, and most importantly, working with each other. The crew can't run the ship without the officers and sailors. The officers can't guide the ship without the crew and sailors running it, and the sailors, as much as they might like to, can't keep the ship moving forward without the officers and crew. And lest you think I have forgotten, the apprentices are vital too, because they provide the future generation of sailors, officers, crew members, which is why they're brought on board in the first place. Some might say, in fact, that the ship's larger purpose is to train those apprentices. And of course, they don't provide all of it, but their treasure funds a large portion of the mission. Communicating among these groups is important, of course. The officers can't pilot the ship without knowing how things are going on the decks and without communicating directions for how to adjust the sails to the sailors. The sailors can't do the work of managing the sails without working with the crew on the ship's upkeep and daily maintenance, and everyone must communicate with the apprentices in order to properly guide them in their training. On the USS UND, we have spent much time and energy, especially in the last 6 months, working on lines of communication, which are vital to running the ship. But just as important as communication is trust. And this is the element that worries me most. My position on the ship in the last year has been unique. As University Senate Chair, I am a long-time loyal faculty sailor who this year has been working closely with and among the crew, apprentices, and officers, the staff, students, and administrators. I have had the task of explaining to sailors and the rest of the ship what I have seen on my occasional forays to the bridge, where I see the ship heading, and how the administrators are reading the stars. Much of this work has been enjoyable, as I have seen the complexities of the ship in a new way from this position, moving among the different mariners, and I have gotten to work alongside some truly outstanding seafarers. But as I have been moving among the different groups on the USS UND, I've also been disturbed to occasionally see a lack of trust. Some lack of trust some would expect just knowing the varieties of human nature, and also recognizing that the waters we have been sailing on have been turbulent in recent years. And we are in what some might call a national climate of mistrust. All of this makes me fear for the foundering of our ship. I have heard staff members concerned that faculty don't respect them, faculty concerned that they aren't given the resources to effectively do their work, and administrators worried that lack of respect for their vision could lead to mutiny. These are concerning behaviors for a crew traveling together on board a ship in the middle of higher education's ocean, where our very lives depend on trusting colleagues to do their jobs so that we can do ours. If any group fails, the ship sinks. And many, many ships have. Will we join them in Davy Jones' locker of failed institutions? I worry that we think a new captain is going to solve our problem with trust, but I think that notion is misguided since this situation was not our current captain's creation. This return to trust needs to be a conscious decision made by each one of us, officers, sailors, crews, and apprentices. To begin, I suggest that when we find ourselves repeating familiar suspicion, we interrupt those nagging thoughts and consciously decide to instead work from a place of faith, to imagine the best of each other and be our better selves. When we find ourselves at odds, we must remember that it comes from the other person's genuine desire to do the best for the university, even if we think that idea is mistaken. And I also think that we must make a conscious decision to be trustworthy in our actions, to trust our colleagues enough to be able to be honest with them about our work and the status of our ship. We are all on this ship together. And here I'm speaking on behalf of the staff and student senates as well. What we task you with today is choosing which ship we're going to be. Are we going to be the Titanic, a ship headed towards destruction because of lack of communication between its officers, sailors, and crew? Are we going to be the Pequod, Melville's ship from Moby Dick, where an officer obsessively led his ship to destruction in search of a great white whale, which I might say would be the university losing sight of its educational and knowledge-building mission? Or are we going to be the Bounty, where trust so disintegrated that undisciplined sailors and crew joined together to overthrow the officers, though that action eventually led to disaster? Perhaps it's too much to hope that we're going to become the Love Boat. But let us instead suggest that we aim to be the Beagle, the ship Charles Darwin so famously took on his groundbreaking voyage of discovery, that we choose to cooperate on an expedition of hope, research, and knowledge building. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The mental habits of suspicion will be hard to break, but we can do better. We must remember that dangers abound in the ocean, dangers that we will only survive, not to mention surpass, by working together. Luckily for us, We already have an existing mechanism for such collaboration in the University Senate and its 23 standing committees, which already involve faculty, staff, students, and administrators working side by side to further the academic enterprise of this university. In addition to the mammoth task of re-envisioning the governance structure and creating revised Constitution and Faculty Senate documents, this semester the University Senate has performed an amazing amount of good work. Allow me to mention just some of its projects. Examining curriculum proposals, training faculty and staff for the new budget model, redesigning student evaluation forms, assisting with new research initiatives, fostering communication with the North Dakota legislature, assessing student learning, addressing budget gap issues, revising our scientific misconduct policy, reassessing our general education program, and funding faculty scholarship, research, travel, and teaching innovation. On our horizon, we have even more to accomplish, including forwarding an employee engagement survey, welcoming a new ombudsperson, studying mechanisms for administrative evaluation, creating a policy for minimum faculty qualifications, and updating the faculty handbook. Many of these initiatives reflect a list of priorities we gathered from university senators in our October and November meetings. The ship continues to run its course, but it can run better. At its best, the University Senate provides the space for cooperation and trust building that this campus so desperately needs. Thank you. And it's now my great pleasure to introduce President Robert Kelley for his final address, I'm sad to say, to the University Council.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Becky, for permitting me to follow what was a profound and critical expression of your role as a leader on this campus. Thank you for not only the metaphor, but for the encouragement. As all of you know, this will be my last opportunity to participate in a meeting of the University Council. I have to confess to quite a few mixed feelings. Overall, I believe that our university, the University of North Dakota, is in a very good place. I take great satisfaction at the accomplishments of our entire university community in being able to state my conviction about the condition of our university. On the other side of the coin, as I move into retirement, Marcia and I are quite saddened to leave a university community that has given us so many experiences over the past 7.5+ years. Marcia and I have shared many of the responsibilities that are assigned to the President's office. We've made many friends. Now, I wish Marcia were here. She's teaching an integrated studies class this afternoon in autism, so I will explain that in advance. But Marcia has served as the university's first lady, first ambassador, first volunteer. She's encouraged our students, she has taught classes, she's participated in the intellectual life of this university. She has clapped to our fight song at almost every athletic event that we've been able to attend. So I wanted to thank her very publicly for, both as her president and as her husband, for the role that she has played so graciously and generously in the university as the university's first lady. Well, I don't intend this afternoon to deliver a lengthy formal address on the state of the university. I believe that everyone in this room, and indeed the entire community and state, knows how strong the University of North Dakota is. I do want to take some time to acknowledge and thank individuals and groups that have helped in advancing the university over my tenure. To begin, it's been a very great pleasure to work with the leadership of our university's 3 senates as we share together the responsibility for governing the institution. UND's been very fortunate to have excellent leadership in the University Senate, the Staff Senate, Student Government, So thank you, Rebecca, Shar, Matt, for all that you have done to work with all of us in governing and advancing the University of North Dakota. Let me speak very briefly about the presidential transition process. My last day as president will be January 14th next year. Former North Dakota Governor Ed Schaefer will assume his role as the interim president on January 15th, very next day. Now, the search for a permanent president is underway. The search committee intends to recommend candidates to the State Board of Higher Education somewhat later this spring. I understand that they were meeting earlier today. I've met with former Governor Schaefer, and the transition process is well underway. Ed and his wife Nancy are going to be very effective advocates for the university. Ed has a great loyalty to UND, great enthusiasm for working with our faculty, our staff, and our students. I do believe that the university will be in excellent hands during this interim period. I also want to provide a very brief update on the nickname and logo process. If you don't already know, the University of North Dakota has added the nickname Fighting Hawks to its long-standing UND North Dakota identity. I want to thank the faculty, staff, students, community members who've served on the nickname process recommendation task force and the nickname selection committee. UND athletes and fans are already using the new nickname. The next part of the process will involve the creation of a graphic identity, a logo, to represent the new nickname, and you'll be hearing more about that very soon. Well, I hope you can share with me the pride that I have for the many positive achievements that are happening here at UND and have happened over the last many years. It's been my very great privilege to have served as your president during an unprecedented time of positive growth and change. Growth in the university's mission of teaching and learning, a continued emphasis on research, scholarship, creative work, demonstrated through increases in research expenditures, support for sponsored programs, and growth in both numbers and the quality of students coming into the institution. Significant changes are reflected in the appearance of our beautiful campus. New buildings, additions, renovations to existing buildings, renovated classrooms and laboratories, and our continued emphasis on leveraging the public investment in this exceptional research university. I can't tell you on a personal level how much I have enjoyed working with the vice presidents and their staffs of this university. They have worked with me with such dedication that I cannot strongly enough publicly acknowledge all that they have brought to the university. Tom DeLorenzo, the provost, vice president for academic affairs, Josh Wynn, the dean of our medical school, vice president for health affairs, Lori Reeser, our vice president for student affairs, Alice Becky, vice president for finance and administration, finance and operations, Susan Walton, our vice president for external affairs, our new Grant Majimsi, our vice president for research and economic development. All of these individuals have been seminal in helping me and make decisions that participate in the governance of the university. I'd be remiss too if I didn't thank the office staff in the president's office, Pat Bonet, Cherie Williams, Sandy Rios, all of the people who have taken care of me and all of the president's tasks over my tenure. Let me acknowledge a few of the groups as well that continue to make this an exceptional university. Rebecca mentioned our faculty. There is no stronger commitment to the success of our university than our faculty. They create and sustain a learning environment that assures student success. Their involvement is exceptional. Our staff. Never before in my 45 plus years of involvement in higher education have I been privileged to work with a staff that is capable of taking such pride in what they do for the university and the role that they play in assisting our students in achieving their goals. I can't say enough about our students. I could go on and on here, but I do want to say just a few things. These students have brought national recognition, distinction to the University of North Dakota in so many different ways and through so many different achievements. Just a few examples. Our mechanical engineering students, pardon me, won the International UAS competition, International Unmanned Aircraft Systems competition a few months ago. Our aviation students continue to win flying championships, aerobatic championships, safety competitions. Students in the arts and humanities are unsung programs. These students enhance the quality of our lives through the creation of innovative new music, theater productions, visual arts, written compositions. Recently, the concert choir won a national competition. Our theater arts students received national and regional recognition and acclaim. And some of our professional students, I'll mention our nursing students, students in other professional disciplines, accountancy, all earned top scores in national accreditation and licensure examinations. I want to mention our students that are engaged in leadership in our residence hall life, the Greek community on our campus. All of these students demonstrate leadership not only on our campus, but make contributions to our city and our state that are truly exceptional. I have to comment too on the university student athletes. They work with coaches, faculty, staff, working with UND's athletic director, Brian Faison. Can't tell you how much Marcia and I have enjoyed just watching these students achieve not only on the athletic fields in the arenas, but in the classroom as well. These are exceptional students at an exceptional university. Our alumni, we cannot function as a vibrant university without the contributions of our alumni. It's been a tremendous personal pleasure for me to work so closely with Deanna Carlson-Zink and her team. Before her, Tim O'Keefe and his team. Together, the university and the Alumni Association and Foundation made a significant impact in developing an endowment in greater than $325 million. This will benefit the university for decades to come. Also want to acknowledge some individuals and groups that have contributed in other ways, very significant to the success of the university during my tenure. I have to recognize that our executive and legislative branches in Bismarck, Governor Dalrymple, Lieutenant Governor Wrigley, our legislators, have provided funding that has benefited our students, increased salaries for our faculty and staff, allowed us to build new academic programs, implement new services, and along with important gifts from alumni and friends, some matched by the state's Challenge Grant program, have helped build several new buildings, major additions, renovations during my tenure as president. In addition to our state levels, our federal delegation, Senator John Hoeven, Senator Heidi Heitkamp, Representative Kevin Kramer, former senators Myra Dorgan, Kat Conrad, Representative Earl Pomeroy. During my tenure, all supported faculty and students. They have helped grow UND's research enterprise. We now have annual expenditures of well over $100 million, which continues to place the University of North Dakota in the highest rankings as a comprehensive research university. And we can't succeed without support from our community. Mayor Mike Brown, the City of Grand Forks, the Chamber, the Grand Forks Economic Development Association, the Downtown Development Association, the Grand Forks School District, all of our district legislators have helped UND to succeed and together have enhanced Grand Forks as a place to live, work, play, and grow. So as I conclude my remarks this afternoon, I am very, very mindful, and this is going to echo a little bit of, Becky, your comments, very mindful that our nation and our world face many, many very complex political, social, economic challenges. In many ways, behaviors, discussions, debates in the immediate UND community reflect the national, even global issues and environments in which we live, work, and learn. So I would encourage all of us at UND as we move the institution forward, and I emphasize together, moving forward together, to remember that UND is an institution that values respectful, productive civil relationships among all members of the university community. These positive, productive relationships form the foundation upon which individuals rely to advance the quality of their lives through higher education. UND indeed invites people from all over the world to come to our campus, not just residents of the state of North Dakota, but from all over North America and the rest of the world. These individuals come to UND for many reasons, all centered on learning at higher and more advanced levels, but also with the additional dream of becoming even more productive participants in the world's diverse human population. Students, faculty, and staff at UND represent the world in which we live, a diverse racial, ethnic, religious, cultural backgrounds, along with the complex personal identities that we all possess and exhibit to the world around us. As I retire from the university, it is my hope that UND will continue to develop as a university community, thoughtfully accepting the responsibility of its mission, teaching and learning at advanced levels. This is our institution's role in the world. So in closing, I encourage all of us to participate as thoughtful individuals, defining and addressing these current issues that have such profound, lasting societal importance. We at UND must continue to be even more aware of our inherent human diversity and to guide the role that the university must play in understanding, through teaching and learning, that diversity. So Marcia and I both say thank you for all of your efforts that have made this exceptional university even more so. We will miss the UND family, but we know that the university is in good hands and will thrive well into the future. Thank you.
Well, welcome, colleagues. As you know, this is President Kelley's last University Council address. And as such, we want to recognize President Kelley for his extraordinary leadership contributions to university governance over the years. And to this end, we have invited members of the SEC, past university chairs, if you would please step forward. If we have any past staff Senate chairs as well, would you please step forward? And just quickly, if there are any members or prior members of the University Senate or the Staff Senate or the Student Senate in the audience, would you just please raise your hand really quick? Okay. So all of you out there know the contributions that President Kelley has made to shared governance in this university. And even those who did not raise your hand, I'm sure that you have had some dealings with President Kelley as well. When deciding on the appropriate way to acknowledge President Kelley's leadership contributions, we also want to acknowledge his service to the broader community. And to this end, we reach out to a local artist to commission a plaque. The artist happens to be a potter and also a municipal judge by the name of Al Boucher. And let me say that he was honored to craft this piece for you, and I have to say that the end result is absolutely gorgeous. So with that, we are absolutely delighted to elevate President Kelley to the status of Honorary University Senate Chairperson with all of the rights and privileges thereof, and to present you with this gift to commemorate and to acknowledge your leadership contributions to university governance as well as the broader community.
If we could have one final round of applause for President Kelley. point in the meeting, we usually take questions. I'm not sure if President Kelley probably doesn't want to answer any questions today. But Matt and Shar and I would answer if there are any. I know it's... Senator Light.
President Kelley.
Professor White.
Yeah,
The listening skills.
we're dying to know what will be the first things that you and Marcia will do when you set out from here.
Start the engine? Well, thanks for the question. We've been building a family cabin down in Colorado with Marcia's brother and his family for many years. It's not finished. Marcia's mom is 98, still going strong, but needs attention. So we're going to be a little closer to family, try to take care of mom, work on the cabin. It's got a roof, it's got running water, but that's the first plan. And then we've got, since we're going to be homeless, we've got to find a house, which I think we will do somewhere along the Front Range, a little bit closer to Pueblo, Colorado, where family is. And we're spread out all the way down to Albuquerque. The kids and the grandkids are literally all over North America. Cities, Houston, San Francisco, Albuquerque. So we're just trying to get a little bit more centrally positioned to do what we have to do as adult kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how you follow that question, but does anyone want to try to?
I'd be happy to take another question, but the Chancellor's cabinet is meeting right now, and I probably need to get over there, but I don't want to leave that beautiful piece of ceramic work. Well, can I take it with me?
It's yours.
Any last questions? Maybe your last chance. Thank you.
Then I would like to adjourn this meeting of the University Council. Thank you all for coming.